back to the Small Business Show, and thank you so much for joining me. Instead of diving into one journey this afternoon, we are doing the mid-year marketing makeover panel discussion. So I am joined by an esteemed array of panelists this afternoon. We are starting off with Mike Connell. Mike, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'd love to. Thank you for having me here today, Laurie. I'm excited to be at this event. I'm the owner, founder of KC Visuals Unlimited. I'm based in Quincy, Massachusetts. I'm a video producer, and I help small business owners and professionals to do their video marketing campaigns, create videos that have impact.
Excellent. Mike, thank you for being here.
I'm
Excellent.
excited.
All right. Next up, we have Geoffrey Kent. Geoffrey, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely, Lori. Thank you for hosting this event and inviting me to be a part of it. My name is Geoffrey Kent. I'm the founder and CEO of Think Big with Geoffrey Kent. I am a business coach. I have an MBA in entrepreneurial management. I taught entrepreneurship at a major university in the 2010s. And over 5 decades, I've launched more than 20 successful entrepreneurial ventures, having sold my last IT business. It was a cloud computing company in 11 years ago in 2013.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here, Geoffrey. All right. And next up, we have Mary Sheen. Mary, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Laurie, for having me. It's a beautiful day and it's great to be here. So, my name is Mary Sheen, and as you can probably tell right away, I'm not from around here. I was actually born in Hong Kong, and when I was 7 years old, my family moved to Sydney, Australia, where I grew up. That is why I have this Asian face and I sound like Australian. And as an adult, after college, I moved to the United States and I've been living here. I lived in New York for 5 years and now I live in Massachusetts for a number of years. And what I do is I'm a transformational public speaker trainer and coach. And typically I help women who have the challenge in business of not being able to communicate their talents in a way that provides confidence and in a concise way. And how I help them is I get them super clear on what is it that they stand for, who are they, so that when they get in front of a stage, they're proud to share what it is that they have to offer, and they're able to attract their ideal clients consistently.
Excellent. I absolutely love it. Mary, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. And next up, we have Geoffrey Beale. Jeff, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thanks for having me on the show, Lori. It's a great honor and a privilege. I am Jeff Beale, known as Mr. Marketology, or as Geoffrey always calls me, Jeff to the left. I'm the other Jeff in the group. And I own the Marketology group, and I'm also a marketing strategist and consultant. So my specialty has been helping companies streamline their marketing campaigns and efforts. I tell people you don't have a revenue problem, you have a strategy problem. So I help you create the strategy, help you streamline that with marketing automation and artificial intelligence. So a lot of it's doing with helping you get, I guess, work smarter, not harder, and achieve your goals. So that's what I do, and I'm happy to be in the presence of such greatness as the other panelists.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here, Jeff. And next up, we have Porsché Mystique Steele. Porsché, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Lori. My name is Portia Mystique Steele. I am an award-winning book coach, TEDx speaker, independent publishing expert. I'm the owner of Mystique Rose Publishing. We are a business where we help business owners turn their brands into books and then leverage their books in their business to either become professional speakers, to expand their thought leadership, and really establish their legacy. And of course, monetize that book in 13 different ways to generate 6 or more figures of revenue.
Absolutely beautiful. I thank you all for being here. And as you guys can see, we have a wonderful panel of a wonderful array of panelists this afternoon. So I am excited to dive into this discussion and hear everyone's feedback on these questions and provide some value for our audience today. So we'll start off with our first question. What are the most significant marketing trends that you have observed throughout the first course of 2024? So, who would like to go ahead and start off with this?
All right, I won't let everybody have crickets in the room. Of course, AI. Everybody's talking about AI. Everybody's trying to figure out how artificial intelligence can help them with their business. And that's the trend that I've seen the first quarter of this year, actually last quarter of last year. Everybody's trying to figure out how to integrate that into their day-to-day operations. So that's the trend I've seen, and I've seen some good, some bad, some very ugly babies. And it's going that way from here. I don't see it turning back around.
Definitely. Artificial intelligence is something that I think we've all noticed, and I'm curious how many of us have started implementing into our own set of operations throughout the course of the first half of the year. So maybe we'll dive into that a bit later in the conversation. But I'm curious, what other trends have you guys noticed throughout the course of 2024 thus far?
Jump in if that's okay.
Of
So of
course.
course I'm always coming from a book marketing perspective. And definitely Jeff hit the nail on the head with AI. But another thing that I'm seeing in terms of being able to market a book and your business simultaneously is through the
Mm,
use of collaborations. And I know we were really doing that during COVID because everybody was virtual and it was hard to build an audience on your own when you're in your own
Mhm.
house. But it seems to have continued and grown. So I'm seeing a lot of people partnering with other people in their industry, even influencers. Influencer marketing has really taken off recently.
mhm,
Those collaborations have been very powerful. So live events where you're seeing all these summits with like 20 plus speakers, or
mhm.
conferences that are happening with panels like this right here. This is an example. A lot of this is becoming more and more frequent.
Definitely. And that, of course, is precisely why we threw this as a way to go ahead and highlight the panelists and the people in the community that I have had the pleasure of getting to know and witnessing their own brilliance. So, again, I thank you all for being here. So, moving right along, why don't we move on to platforms? Let's chat about the different platforms that you guys would recommend to small business owners for their marketing. There's a million different platforms out there, and sifting through all that noise is not necessarily the easiest thing to do. What would you guys suggest in terms of narrowing down the platforms that people choose in order to begin utilizing it in their own marketing efforts?
I'll take that one, Laurie.
Go
Thank you
for
for
it.
this wonderful question. All right, so I have to admit I'm coming from a very biased perspective because of what I do as a transformational public speaker coach. And I know your audience is a small business. My highest recommendation is to be a speaker, and then to have, I'll try and keep it G-rated, have kick butt signature talk. So what that means is your ability to share what it is that you are good at, what your wisdoms are, and be able to articulate it in a way that provides value for the audience. So now you talk about trends also. Pre-pandemic, I'm sure you know the pandemic changed a lot of things. Pre-pandemic, I was doing speaking engagements in person all day long, all day long, all day long, and all of my clients were also doing that. Post-pandemic, it actually opened up a whole new space online. Zoom is my favorite platform to use as we are here right now. Reach so many more people throughout the world with this, and be able to sell your perspectives and sell your points of views, and more importantly, help more people. Because the way I approach what I do, and being in business, especially new small business owners, and you guys can tell me if you can relate to this, but there's a tendency to be afraid to sell yourself, right? Because what I really focus on is the inner critic and how to deal with that and how to navigate with that, not needing to squash it or conquer it, or, have an ectomy of your inner critic, because that's, probably something that will never happen. So it's really about building that relationship with your inner critic in such a way that you can navigate around it and not allow it to make decisions, especially life altering or trajectory altering decisions for you. And in terms of public speaking as a front door in order to walk through to get your message out there, that is the number one thing that most new business owners, especially, or if you're going to evolve to the next level, have to deal with. So number one, the internal inner world of your inner critic, being able to know how to navigate that, and then having a kick butt signature talk so that you can go and speak to as many audiences as possible and drive them to help more people.
I love that. The one-to-many scenario, definitely. And that's 100% why we are here on Zoom, your favorite platform today, doing exactly that, creating the opportunity to really speak to many versus just the one-to-one conversation. So much agreed. And I think Zoom is an excellent tool and a resource for those. I'm curious how you guys feel. Are there other platforms that you've noticed that you think would be useful? As you guys have seen, this afternoon's presentation is not just here on Zoom, but we're also live streaming over to the Discord platform. And again, in a very much so one-to-many scenario, so that there is the opportunity to have a wider array of an audience. So I'm curious, what other platforms would you guys speak to?
Laurie, if I could,
Yeah.
I'd like to
Please.
just talk a second about audiences themselves.
Mhm.
You really need to know who the audience is that you're trying to talk to.
Mhm.
And then once you know who they are, you find out where are they hanging out. It makes no sense to publish a video on LinkedIn if your audience is on Snapchat or TikTok or a different place, because if you create a video and nobody watches, is there really even a video? You know what I mean? So I think first you have to know who your audience is and, analyze them, basically a persona. You want to, craft the right type of message that resonates with that audience and then find where they are. So I mean, I deal business to business, so most of my postings go on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
sometimes alignable,
Mhm.
but they're there's no sense for me to post on Instagram if my audience
Mhm.
isn't there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. So definitely.
I'll jump on what Michael's just said. So it's not only important that you understand your audience, but you need to understand that you need to get to who are called, first movers. So when you
Mhm.
think of, say, an Apple store and Apple comes out with a new product, there are people that camp outside of the store to be the first ones to buy whatever that is. Those are first movers. They actually move the entire market, right? So everyone else comes in waves behind that group of first movers. First movers tend to be about 2.5% of the population. So, what entrepreneurs need to understand is, you believe in something, and we all believe in something different. We all have a different story. So, but whatever it is you believe in, the way you connect with that 2.5% that are first movers for you are to communicate your story so that
Mhm.
they will find you, right? Because they believe what you believe. And once they hear that, they will be drawn to it like, flies to honey or whatever, bees to honey or whatever the case may be. So when the first question you asked about trends, I don't know whether it's a trend or not. It should be, but the art of telling stories, I think, is becoming
Mhm.
more widely accepted, right?
Mhm.
And so, as entrepreneurs, we don't understand how powerful telling your story is, because that's what attracts people to you, right? So
Mhm.
you need to communicate that more. You need to find a platform. I don't think it really matters what the platform is, but you need to
Mhm.
understand that you can't, as an entrepreneur, when you start and you want to get out there and tell the world what you do, you're going to want to get on every platform. That's the recipe for failure. You want to find one platform that you can get on and become a dominant voice on that platform before you
Mhm.
expand on other platforms. So for
Mhm.
me, I started using a branding coach, and yes, coaches need coaches too.
Mhm.
About a year and a half ago, and so I had made the cardinal mistake of trying to post on all these different platforms. I was on about 7 or 8 different social media platforms. I'd gotten a decent amount of followers, but wasn't getting a ton of traction. And so I,
Mhm.
met this coach, hired him, and he said, Jeff, I want you to stop posting on all these different platforms. And in my case, I use Alignable. So he said, I really like where Alignable's going. I like their mission statement. Let's just, I see you have a profile already. Just start posting on Alignable until you become a dominant voice and go forward. And I'm like, well, this is the same advice I give entrepreneurs. I might as well drink my own Kool-Aid. So I did that, and it worked like gangbusters, right? So the other thing that he gave me a piece of advice, and this is when it finally, kind of registered in my brain. He's like, every social media platform has its own love language. And so what you need to do when you pick a platform, you need to speak in the love language of the platform, right? And that's how you get traction. That's when it all of a sudden got to me. Okay, I have to view each platform as someone I'm looking to court. And so I've got to understand what's going to be attractive to whoever I'm trying to court in order to, YouTube, you have to have videos, there some short videos can get a lot of traction. Long videos can as well, but you're going to get more traction with shorter videos. A platform like Alignable, they like written content, but they like short written content. Quora accepts longer written content. So it really depends on the platform. So my advice to any entrepreneur is pick a platform, focus on becoming learn the love language of the platform, communicate accordingly, look at it as a marathon, not a sprint, right? And basically tell people your story on the platform and continue to tell it until the first movers who believe what you believe come to you.
Definitely. There is gold being dropped during this conversation. So if you haven't gotten your paper and pen out and you weren't taking notes before, I would suggest that you pause, rewind, go back, and make sure that you take notes on everything that's being said at this point. So we're going to start back with what Michael was saying in terms of making sure that you understand who the audience is that you're trying to serve and figuring out which platform it is that they're actually on. Then, as Geoffrey said, once you figure out what that platform is and where the audience is, learn the love language of the platform so that the actual content that's being published is getting out there and being seen. And then make sure that you are following up with both Mary and Porsché to help you figure out that story and get it written down and out there to the public. So I love this group of panelists right now. You guys have a wealth of experience, and I am enjoying this conversation thus far. So
Lori,
moving
don't forget to
yeah.
let people know it's a marathon, not a sprint. A lot of times you'll talk to entrepreneurs, and it's like, I started posting on this one platform and I'm not getting any traction. And it's like, how long have you been posting? A week. I'm like,
right.
It's gonna take a little longer than that,
Very true. Trust the process. Take
Right.
your time. Be patient. 100%. Nothing happens overnight. Might seem like it does, but nothing happens overnight. So, yes, being patient is very important. Thank you for that, Geoffrey. 100%.
That's easy to say when you're in Boston Celtics territory.
Yeah.
Trust the process. Yeah.
Anything is possible. Thank you, KG. I carry that phrase all the time.
We're still going through that in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
The process hasn't worked out yet, but
we'll get there. We'll get there. Oh, goodness. So we're moving right along. What are some of the cost-effective marketing strategies that you guys have seen or lend credit to or feel are most effective in your own personal practice?
I'll take that one, Lori.
Go for it.
I want to mention about the platforms, right? Because now there is so much focus on digital marketing, right? Being on the different social media sites and videos of that nature. And I want to interject that let's remember, please don't forget that in person is also a platform. In fact, I would say a very effective, and now you're bringing in cost effective. I've been in business for a decade. I've never invested in advertising. And here is in terms of dollars. And here's why. It's because, again, speaking, like, please do not underestimate speaking face to face or even on Zoom, offering that and offering your wisdoms that way as a way of building the trust and a way of building these relationships so that people know what you're about, right? Telling your story, for example. And then it's the fastest way that I've found in order to be that bridge so that number one, people trust you as the authority because you're offering the value and you upfront, and you're not having for them to pay money in order to work with you. You're offering these wisdoms. So you're providing value, trust. And in terms of speaking in front of a group of people, because, we talked about video earlier, and one of the things that I found is one of the barriers to video is people feeling self-conscious. And you guys can tell me if you relate to this. It's like, here's the iPhone, ding, hello, and you're speaking to no one. It feels so weird, right? So one of the things to do to get around that is when you're in front of a group of people and you're sharing your wisdoms, hence the kick butt signature talk and your signature story within that, have somebody record you so it looks natural that you're speaking in front of a group of people and you're not like a deer in the headlights pretending to speak to someone. And then post production, you can just edit pieces and then share that so people see you in action. And most importantly, you're also magnifying and amplifying your wisdoms that way, but you're doing the work once. So I'm all about efficiency. And, this is what I teach my clients, and that's what I've been doing. So if that resonates with you, let's talk.
And definitely you guys should give Mary a call. Just in case the audience is not aware, Mary is actually the reason why I am on camera at all. So many years ago, Mary, I did work with Mary to help myself get over that, anxiety of being on camera and being in front of a screen versus, just doing the podcast and being only in audio format or, written format. So thank you, Mary, for all that you did and for making this show a possibility. It's 100% appreciated. So definitely excellent. So cost-effective marketing solutions. What other solutions do you guys feel like you've come across throughout your practice?
Well, I would say myself, as far as cost-effective marketing solutions, one thing I want to pose first is cost and price are different. And a lot of businesses look at price over cost. If it costs me $1 to make $5, then how much are you willing to spend? But a lot of businesses look at that $1 and say, I don't want to spend that $1 and then never make the $5. So that's the difference. But if you're already in business, at least for those that are already in business, look at what you've already been doing that works versus does not work. Because a lot of us look at filling the holes. This didn't work. How can I fix what didn't work? And we disregard what actually worked. So if we find out what works, double down on what works, and then your cost is going to go down on the cost that it costs to do business. So if, let's say, podcasting works, if podcasting works, don't go out there and do TikTok. Don't go out there and get Facebook ads. For what? Because podcasting works. So that's one thing to look at. And then you can start looking at how can you streamline a lot of the cost dollar-wise and cost time-wise and effort-wise. You can streamline a lot of that by hiring experts. Like, for instance, video might not be your thing. Might be the person you need to contact and say, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. It's going to take a lot of headache off of my plate. It's going to take a lot of mistakes off my plate. He's going to do it right. So paying Mike for his service to get the videos right is going to cost me a whole lot less than saving the money not to pay Mike, because, Mike's out there. We don't like Mike. We're not going to pay Mike. We're going to try to figure it out. And then, can I say it in my SpongeBob voice? 10 years later, you're still in the same spot. And you're like, I should have paid Mike. And Mike isn't coming down because he made a mistake. His price is his price. So
you
that's
take Venmo, Jeff.
But yeah, I mean, that's what I would say would be the most cost efficient thing to do. Of course, there's tools out there, Chat GPT, AI, and keep on. And please, this isn't a pitch to say everybody needs to be on AI, but it does save you a lot of time. It does save you a lot of effort. I'm a firm believer in finding experts and let the expert do what they do. That's going to save you a ton than trying to figure it out yourself. If you are speaking, call Mary. Be like, Mary, no, I know how to speak. I've been speaking to my mama for years. Yeah, but your mama's not your audience. You know, your mama's not buying all your product. You know, you're writing a book. Well, I know how to write. I've graduated high school, but that doesn't make you an author. You need to contact Porsche. How do I write this? How do I get it out? How do I make it more than just a best-selling author? It's my business card that I can now flip into 13 other ways to make money versus how many books I've sold. You know, that is what I say is cost efficient, because everybody's looking for this. How much can I spend? You know, what's my cost per click? What's my cost per conversion? And they're thinking in advertisement terms. But there's a lot of businesses that run like have never advertised at all, which you've heard already today. Never spent a dime on advertisement. And there's a lot of people I've known, businesses I've known that have spent a lot of money on advertisement. But when I consult them and I build a strategy for them and we dig into their data, the real numbers, the real truth, we find out they made no money from that. And everything has been referral, word of mouth, because they had lunch with this person, because they did this over here. And then but they still argue, but I need to be on Facebook and I need to be on Google Ads and I need to spend money over here. And I'm like, why? Because your business is here. Your vanity and ego is here. Now we can be, you know, catering to your ego and we can blow through your budget and you can be mad at me for 6 months later because no business has moved. Or we can look at the real truth and say, this is what works. Keep doing what works, and let's keep making this money and growing. And that's what will keep your costs down.
Definitely doubling down on what works and reaching out to the experts. Porsche, please.
Yeah, I think Jeff really hit the nail on the head. Like for me, one of the most cost-effective marketing strategies that I've done is live events. And I know that sounds crazy because people put in a lot of money to live events, but so my signature launch strategy when launching a book is to turn your book into a virtual summit. Low overhead, tons of impact, and the ability to have multiple call to actions to generate revenue. So when you turn a book launch into a virtual summit, let's say, you bring in different speakers who all have their own audience. So they bring a bunch of people in. And then we do 3 call to actions. Number 1, buy a copy of the book. Number 2, follow me on my platforms. Number 3, become a client. So because I work with business owners, we all have our own thought leadership, right? So we write books about our thought leadership. And the goal is to use books to generate clients. So in that summit, I'll use my book as an example. I published The CEO Author, right? I launched it on August 19th of last year, 2023. And I was able to generate $30,000 in revenue, but that was $27,000 in profit because I had only spent $3,000 on actually putting the event together. So how did I get 30K? Well, I got 7 high-paying clients out of that one event. I had sold 70 copies of my book, and the event was free. So it was a free virtual event with the option to upgrade to a $47 ticket. So we had 74 people purchase the $47 VIP ticket. So you see that was 3 streams of revenue in a single one-day virtual event. And it was what, a 4-hour event. I had 5 of my speaker friends and we came in and we gave tons of value. The crazy thing is the attendees didn't even know it was a book launch because it wasn't about the book. It was about the event. I just took the information from the book and turned it into the event, and it ended up being my launch, which boosted me to bestseller. But the idea was that, you know, that was the most cost-effective thing that I could have done, was a live event. And so when I verified that as a working method, I started doing it for all of my authors. But then I started paying attention to the monthly masterclasses, the monthly workshops. These are totally free. Of course, you have the offer at the end. And then bam, you get high-paying clients because the know, like, and trust factor is built in a single session.
Right. That's right. I absolutely love it. Making sure that the know, like, and trust factor is built into the content that you're putting out there is extremely important. So if the content that you're putting out there isn't allowing for people to understand who you are in the first place, it's probably not going to be effective. Very much so appreciate what you were saying, Porsche, in terms of making sure to use the platform to speak one to many, and the recognition of how that really kind of changed what you were doing, but also strategically implementing those call to actions throughout it, and how impactful that was, the setup of the actual event and the way that you went about uh, laying out the call to action throughout the event itself, and the marketing done behind that throughout the other panel members that you had throughout the event. So excellent, and thank you for sharing that. I truly appreciate that. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to add in regards to the cost-effective marketing that they've seen in their practice? Go for it, Michael.
Well, I'd like to first say, I love what Porsche said. Webinars, challenges, summits, you can call them, whatever name you want, but they are an effective, cost-effective tool to use. You could use Zoom or whatever, platform of conference software you have to create an event. And people love events. They check out events and oh, okay, so now my book is on display in this event. So I didn't mean to do that. Jeff, thank you for the shameless plug earlier for being here's another one. But
I love it.
I wrote a book for people that want to do inexpensive organic video marketing. You could do a lot of little things to make your videos better. Framing, lighting, sound, using a microphone. But the most important thing you can do before you turn that phone on and record is know what you're going to say, plan what you're going to say. Don't just wing it. Have an idea in mind of who you're talking to and what resonates with them. You got to hook them. You got three seconds with the video to get their attention, or they're going to click somewhere else. So you've got to say something impactful in that first line. You don't start with, "Hi, I'm Mike Connell." By the time I say Connell, you've gone to another video. You want to grab their attention right off the bat, something that resonates, that solves a problem, or makes them aware of a problem that they're struggling with. Then they'll take attention. If you've got really serious, foot problems, you want to start, if you're a foot surgeon, you want to start off with, are you tired of walking around in pain every day? Somebody that's walking around in pain every day is going to say, "Yes, what do you have for me?" And you go
Mike.
from there. You give them a couple of little solutions that they can implement right now. But in the end, that you got 60 seconds that maybe they'll watch. Call them to action. Get them to get in touch with you, or click the button below to opt in, whatever it is. So you can get a lot, with cost-effective video marketing, doing just little things yourself.
Definitely little tweaks here and there that can definitely make changes to the overall marketing itself that you're doing, making sure to put that hook right up in the front so that, during those first 30 seconds, you're catching whoever it is on the other end that you're attempting to reach with the message that they need to hear, knowing that you actually have that solution for them. So thank you
let
for
me
that,
add
Mike.
one more thing, Lori, please.
Sure.
When we talk about cost-effective marketing, let's peel back a little bit and know what your costs are. Go through what you're doing. Look at the data, because a lot of people are judging cost-effective based on things they've never done and data that they don't have. You don't know how much you're spending until you see what you're doing. So take the time to look at what you're doing, look at what's working, what's not working, estimate the cost from there, know what the costs are, know what the goals are, and then put together a strategy. And then from there, you can start saying, this is going to be something that's going to work for me, or something that I'll go into, versus just going off of trends and taglines and slogans, what everyone else is supposedly doing. Because in today's time, especially with social media, you really don't know what everyone else is doing. And I don't know how many of y'all have had this argument with your friends and family, but I have, to be like, they don't own that plane. They don't own that car. They don't own that mansion. I put together the marketing campaign for them. I know they don't own it. And they still tell you, no, I saw it on Facebook. I saw it on TikTok. Instagram, they own it. And I'm like, no, they don't.
Oh,
So
goodness.
don't look at other businesses and say
Hmm.
they're successful because they did this, because you're not looking at their back end. You don't know if they really are, if they're not, and that's not your business. Know what your business is doing and then start
Hmm.
making decisions based off of that.
Yeah, I would also say that. I mean, there's so many things that you can do for free that
Hmm.
gets you all of that empirical back end data.
Hmm.
So that by the time you transition to starting to pay for marketing and advertising, now you not only know like who your audience is, why they
Hmm.
purchase, how they purchase, but you now can give that to whoever you hire to help you with your marketing and advertising. So a
Hmm.
lot of time, we go in and we're an entrepreneur, starts to go into this rabbit hole of paying for advertising and then spending a lot of money and then being upset months later because it's like, well, I spent all this money and I didn't get any traction. Well, you don't understand how to. You're not an advertising or marketing person, so why would you
Hmm.
expect that you'd have any success doing this on your own? First of all,
Hmm.
and then
Hmm.
second, even if you hired someone to do it for you right out the gate and you still didn't have any traction, you didn't give them anything to work with. You didn't tell them who your audience was. So they're
Right.
trying to figure it out on the fly, which is a horrible way to try to market. So you need to, you can post on a social media platform on a weekly, daily basis, just talking about how you solve problems, right?
Hmm.
Telling your story. You can publicly speak. You
Hmm.
you can appear on other people's podcasts. There's all kinds of
Hmm.
ways to get your story out for free, right? And over time get to understand who your audience is so that by
Hmm.
the time you're like, okay, I'm going to start to pay for some advertising because I want to you know I want to get into my market even deeper, right?
Hmm.
But when you reach out to a marketing firm or advertising firm, it's like, okay, I can tell you exactly who my market is. I can tell you why they buy, how they buy, so on and so forth. So
Hmm.
now it's like, okay, well, we'll make sure that when if we're going to do Facebook ads, we're going to put all the things into, the Facebook, algorithm to make sure that your ad only gets seen by the people who we know have a high probability of buying your services, right?
Hmm. Excellent. Geoffrey, you brought it right back to the beginning, getting really, really, really crystal clear on who and the what, so that when you do start putting those marketing dollars out there, you actually have a way to back up what it is you're attempting to do. You'll have the data from the marketing that you've done previously. So that's a great way to get it out there, putting out that pre-marketing piece. So you get those analytics and the numbers so that by the time you get to putting the money behind the marketing, you have the information so that it can guide you in what you're doing next. So you guys have been absolutely outstanding. I thank all of you for joining me this afternoon and for sharing an abundance of information with the audience and joining in on this marketing session this afternoon. So thank you all, Michael, Jeff, Mary, Portia. Thank you guys for being here today.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you
Having
for the
you.
us.
opportunity.
Of course.